Nifty Sensex record their worst close in over 4 months. The VIX jumped 10.67%, the highest level since August 7th. All sectoral indices took a hit, with realty dipping nearly 3%. Weak corporate earnings in the second quarter, the upcoming US election results and geopolitical uncertainties drag markets lower. Crude oil prices rise on reports that Iran may retaliate after Israel's recent attacks. OPEC Plus agrees to delay December output increase by another month. Brent rises 4% in past week. Rupee weakens by 3 paise to a record low of 84.11 against the US dollar on the back of weak closing of 84.08 on Friday. Massive FII selling could have triggered lows. The post-Diwali week promises to be a bustling primary market as Swiggy, Sagility, Acme Solar and Niva Bupa prepare for major IPO launches. Electric two-wheeler scooters remain in focus on strong October sales data. Ola Electric cements top position and TVS Motor regains the number 2 position by market share. Ruckus erupts in Jammu and Kashmir Assembly as PDP lawmaker Waheed Parra tables resolution against Article 370 scrapping amidst BJP opposition. The Assembly held its first sitting in 6 years. The long-awaited US elections begin tomorrow. Final state of polls reveal that Vice President Kamala Harris appears to have a slight lead in enough states to win electorals, but key swing states to decide the outcome. Hello and welcome. This is Profit 360 on NDTV Profit and I'm your host Malika Mishra. Along the next half an hour, we'll bring you the latest on markets as well as national and international news. It was a volatile day on the Lal Street with Nifty and Sensex recording their worst close in over 4 months. The VIX jumped 10.67%, the highest level since August 7th. All sectoral indices took a hit, with realty dipping nearly 3% in trade today. But what dragged the markets lower? Neeraj is standing by, along with Tamanna Inamdar, explaining the situation.
Tough day for the markets for sure in today's trade. You argue that maybe there was off the lows of the day, but be that as it may, we ended well and truly below the 24,100 mark, and in fact about a few points below 24,000 as well. So you could argue we've closed around that level. Broader markets saw an even stronger hit, with the micro cap index being down nearly 1.7 or 1.8%, and the market breadth nearly 1 or 2:7 in favor of the declines. And across the board there was selling. If you just look at the Nifty 50 gainers and losers as well, save for a Mahindra & Mahindra and save for a couple of other news-making stocks, a clutch of others corrected. Reliance, HDFC Bank, ICICI and Axis Bank. And remember, Bank Nifty was not even the principal culprit at the start of the trading day. There are stocks like ONGC, which have corrected quite viciously. BPCL has been down in trade from that oil and gas space. So a clutch of those large cap names have looked very, very wobbly in the session. The two-wheeler names in Hero and Bajaj Auto too have wobbled. I look at the broader end of the spectrum too. Yes, there were winners and there were a few stocks which did well. So the BSE 500 winners and losers list, if you just look at that very quickly, you will see what I'm telling about. There are winners. Fine Organics had a good move today. Galaxy Surfactants and Privi Speciality and a few others had a decent outing as well. Aegis Logistics about 3.5%. There was First Source which gained another 5% in trade. But the gashes were very strong. Polymedicure, Vodafone, Angel One, CESC, PVR, Inox being hit about 5%. It's a wrap on the knuckles for a lot of these stocks. So net, a tough outing. The new kid on the block though recovered a lot of lost ground. Afcons Infra, after starting off the day in the red, ended the day marginally in the green, and maybe that is a bit of a respite for that. But otherwise, it was a day that's best forgotten from a bull's perspective.
Definitely best forgotten. Unfortunately, this might not be the end of the pain, because if you look at the key factors that are causing the pain in the market today, it's not something that could disappear in the next couple of days. In fact, you might see a bit of a tough week, and these are some of the reasons. For one, you have earnings which have not really been the best. 34 out of 50 Nifty companies have announced results so far. 10 have beaten estimates, 13 have met, while 11 have missed expectations. But even in the broader markets, by and large, company results have not been up to the mark in terms of how much the stocks have run up. So on the valuations criteria, they've fallen short. Reason number 2, of course, is the US election. That is the big one. On the 5th is when voting starts. We'll have a clearer picture perhaps by 6th or 7th morning. And this is a close fight. Will it be a Trump victory or a Harris victory then becomes very, very important from the market's perspective. Markets actually penciling in a Trump return for a second term. Reason number 3 for the markets to feel this kind of heat, of course, is geopolitical concerns. Iran's Ayatollah has announced that they would hit back at Israel soon. Crude prices have been rising. OPEC Plus has pushed forward their production output increase, and crude prices going higher is never good news for India. FIIs, of course, is the other factor. They've continued to sell over 1,20,000 crores just in the month of October, and nothing seems to be changing in November either. Remember, China is having a series of very crucial meets this entire week where they're going to be talking about measures to prop up their economy. If those are very, very positive, you could see more foreign money heading there.
Thank you to the two of you for explaining us the heat behind the market situation today and in the coming future. Now, earlier in the day today, we also spoke to Rahul Arora, who's the CEO of Nirmal Bang Institutional Equities, about his views on today's market scenario. Take a look.
This was, I mean, you've probably heard it enough and you'll probably get bored with my answer, but I think this was long overdue. I think there was a certain reality check that was required in the market. Fundamental earnings growth was never supporting where the valuations were in the first place. And, you know, we saw that beginning with the defense sector about 4 months back. It went on to the EMS side, consumer durables, electricals. It slowly moved into IT services, then consumer staples again after the results, and now it's, you know, percolating into auto. So I think you're sort of seeing, Neeraj, as we were discussing the other day on Nupur Trading as well, this is probably the worst earnings cycle that we have seen going into a Diwali in a long, long time.
Well, apart from Rahul Arora, we also spoke to Deepak Shenoy, who's the founder and CEO of Capital Mind, about the reasons behind today's market crash and is it a worry for investors? Listen in.
I think the ferocity is only because we have looked at it from the Nupur trading prices, which were abnormally high, I would imagine, because no FII participated, everything went up. If you count from the day before trading, the stocks are down less than 1%, so it's not meaningful to speak about. We're not even down 10% from the top. So yeah, I mean, it's nice to know that the stocks have fallen, but really not meaningfully enough for us to, as a market as a whole. But individual stocks have corrected 25-30%, so they give you a chance meaningfully to kind of participate going forward. I think we are going to be in a situation where uncertainty as it evolves, whether it's a US election result or what happens with Iran, Israel, as certainty starts to come in, I think markets will get more stable.
Now, while those were some expert views on the current market scenario, the oil and gas index cracks as volatile global crude prices and weak Q2 earnings drag the index. Mihika joins in with more details on this.
You have the Nifty oil and gas down about 3.8% intraday. When you talk about the top losers, you have companies like IOCL, BPCL, HPCL and Reliance Industries, and the Indian oil marketing companies have fallen over 4% intraday. Now, when you talk about what's not working for the OMCs, well, up first is the volatility in Brent prices. While they do stand lower on a one-year basis, they have seen almost a 4% uptick in the past week itself, and the OMCs also posted a weak Q2 earnings. They have extended LPG losses. Now, they did announce a commercial initial price hike by 62 rupees for the 19 kg cylinder. However, when you talk about, while this could offer some relief on the LPG losses that the companies have been facing, they have been facing majorly losses on the retail part of it, which is currently played on a subsidized race. The market's not, you can see while this would be positive for the realizations, the stocks have corrected. When you talk about what's not working for Oil India and ONGC, well, production outlook remains uncertain. The companies are yet to post their Q2 results. And lastly, when you look at the city gas company pack, well, IGL, MGL, GGL all fallen 2 to 4% on an intraday basis. One of the major, headwinds for the sector is the lower APM gas allocation, which impacts their operating costs and thereby their profitability. Analysts also expect near-term margins to, remain under pressure, and the PNGRB notice to end network exclusivity is also a key overhang.
Thank you for explaining that to us, Mihika. Now, the Indian rupee breached a fresh record low of 84.12 against the dollar today. The currency closed at 84.08 on Friday, but ongoing pressure from FPI and FII selling continues to weigh on the rupee. The currency crossed the 84 mark early last month and has since struggled to regain strength amid persistent selling. In recent weeks, global funds have offloaded more than 1.25 lakh crore rupees from Indian equities, contributing significantly to the rupee's slide. But still, it remains among the better performing emerging market currencies amidst continuing intervention from the Reserve Bank. Now, November kicks off with major IPOs. Swiggy, Sagility, Acme Solar and Niva Bupa ready for launch in a packed primary market. Mahima is standing by to tell us more about the IPOs that are the buzz of the market.
So in terms of the primary markets, this week will remain completely action-packed. But before that, just to give a brief about how 2080 panned out for IPOs, where in 2080 somewhat, 85 companies raised around 1.21 lakh crore via IPOs in the main board space. And moving on, in 2081, in the first week itself, we will be witnessing 4 new main board IPOs which will open for subscription this week. And they'll be raising approximately 18,534 crore in the first week itself, and this amounts to roughly 15% of the 1.21 lakh crore raised by the 85 companies in somewhat 2080. Now, moving on to what IPOs are set to open this week. First one is Sagility India, where the issue size is roughly 2,107 crores and the price band is set between 28 to 30 per share. In terms of the issue size, it's an OFS of 70 crore shares by the promoters of Sagility BV, and it is affiliated with the EQT Private Capital Asia. Now, in terms of how the IPO will pan out, where in terms of pre-IPO, it has raised around 366 crore by selling 2.61% stake to 9 institutional investors in October around 31st itself. Moving on, the next IPO that will be in focus will be Acme Solar Holding, where the issue size is 2,900 crores. The price band is set between 275 to 289 per share. The issue dates are between 6th of November to 8th of November. It's a fresh issue of 2395 crore and offer for sale stands at around 505 crore. In terms of the next IPO in focus, it will be Niva Bupa Health Insurance. The issue size for this particular IPO is again 2,200 crores. Issue dates between 7th of November to 11th of November. It has a fresh issue of 800 crores and OFS of around 1,400 crores. And the price band for this particular IPO is set between 70 to 74 rupees. The next in line is the most awaited IPO, that's the Swiggy IPO. And for particulars of Swiggy IPO, the issue size is 11,327 crores. The issue date, the IPO will open between 6th of November and end on 8th of November for subscription. The price band for Swiggy is set between 371 to 390 per share, and the offer for sale from the 11,327 crores stands at around 6,828 crores, and the fresh issue for this particular IPO is 4,499 crores. Now, in terms of how Swiggy's IPO has been so so far in terms of pre-IPO. A lot of celebrities have invested in Swiggy. We have Ramdev Agrawal, Amitabh Bachchan, Rahul Dravid, Madhuri Dixit, Karan Johar, who have shown interest in the Swiggy IPO in the pre-IPO segment itself. So all of these investors have already shown interest in the Swiggy IPO, and of course the retailers will set to show their interest on 6th of November till 8th of November. Now, how the funds will be utilized by the Swiggy management? Well, they'll be repaying the Scootsie amount of roughly 1,343 crores. They'll also be using some fund for their tech and cloud infrastructure of around 703 crores. Marketing spends will be approximately 1,115 crores, and they aim to reduce their debt of 137 crores also via the proceeds that they will receive via the IPO. Overall, in terms of valuation picture as compared to Zomato, Swiggy is valued at $11.3 billion, and Zomato's current market cap stands at roughly $26 billion. So Zomato's market cap is almost double of what Swiggy is being valued at right now. So that's a plus point overall also for Swiggy. However, Swiggy is around 4 to 6 quarters away as per analysts from being EBITDA positive. So that is one of the key metrics to watch out for when it comes to the Swiggy IPO. So this is the overall view of how IPOs will pan out in this week overall in the main board space.
Thank you for bringing us those IPO details, Mahima. Now we shift focus on two-wheelers, especially on the back of October auto sales. Puneet is joining us to tell us more.
I think it's getting corrected because of the larger market downside that we're seeing today. And, mostly I think two-wheelers as well as, tractor makers reported really strong numbers. So let's focus on the two-wheelers first. Hero MotoCorp is the first one, reported roughly 6.7 lakh vehicles, sold to dealers in the month of October. Now that's, a very strong growth of about 18% compared to the same time last year versus analyst expectation of about 11 to 12%. Now, another key thing is that, that Hero might be under pressure today compared to the other players. Build-up of inventory over the last 2 months. So in the month of October, they gave the dealers roughly about 6.7 lakh units as mentioned, but retails were about 5.7 lakhs. So that inventory build-up of about 1 lakh is going into November. In the previous month of September as well, there was an inventory of about 1,20,000 vehicles. So going into November, the inventory is significant. Although the company does sell a lot of bikes in a particular month, roughly 3 to 4 lakhs, I think that might be one of the key negatives for Hero specifically, but overall good set of numbers for Hero. When we move on to the other ones, which is TVS Motors, a really steady performance of about 12 to 13% growth over the last 6 months, and that continues in this month as well. Apart from that, the company has also regained its number 2 market share in the electric vehicle space, dethroning Bajaj Auto for the number 2 position. It currently has about 21% odd market share, and with the new lower priced variants such as the iQube, it essentially is looking to have better EBITDA margins in H2 as well. The third one is of course Eicher Motors, another big highest ever sales in one particular month for the company at about 1.1 lakh units. Now that's a growth of about 31% versus growth expectation of 22% by analysts. Now this is the first month of double-digit growth since April, so that's another positive for the company. And finally Bajaj Auto. Now there's a slight negative, domestic sales have fallen 8% for Bajaj Auto for two-wheelers specifically, and that might be one of the key reasons reacting negatively for the stock today. We spoke to the management and they have said that the festive season outlook is looking much better than they had anticipated. Earlier just 1 to 2% growth, and now they're anticipating 6 to 8% growth. But overall, all these players are seeing pressure in the market today, especially because of multiple factors that might not be in hand. But overall, the sales are quite positive for most of these two-wheeler makers.
Well, thank you so much for that, Puneet. Now, we caught up with Bajaj Auto's Rakesh Sharma this morning as he shared the company's festival sales numbers from the past month.
In our area of focus, which is the 125cc plus segment, in this 30-day festive period, compared to the similar period last year, our growth in retail terms is above 20%. And at an overall level, it is, 11 or 12% in motorcycles. In electric vehicles, it is in triple digits. Now, so that is what the festive is.
The newly elected Jammu and Kashmir Assembly erupted in uproar as PDP lawmaker Waheed Parra introduced a resolution against the revocation of Article 370. Chief Minister Omar Abdullah said it was brought merely for the cameras. And A single MLA's private resolution carries no meaning. This was the first assembly after 6 years. He even mentioned that a genuine intention behind the resolution should have been discussed with national conference.
Of the statehood and talked about it is the resolution passed by the cabinet, Umar Abdullah cabinet, unanimously is the will of the people, and that statehood should be restored. And it is what the Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha said in his first address to the J&K legislature. He also talked about a long political uncertainty before election during the presidency, very unusual. He talked about that. He talked about the situation, improvement of the situation. He talked about development. He talked about all those things which normally every government, when it takes over, is expected to say. So when government, lieutenant governor or governor is actually reflecting the policy of the elected government. Having said that, before the lieutenant governor's address, there was a lot of pandemonium, rucks in the assembly as impromptu resolution or the paper passed, because resolution we can say which is admitted, or when there's a day of resolution, PDP MLA Wahid Rahman Para actually impromptu write a paper which he called a resolution saying he opposes the abrogation of Article 370. That led to a massive chaos and confusion in the assembly, and some members rushed to the well of the house. BJP members just stood up from their chairs and just opposed it and said, how can he be allowed?
A major bus accident occurred in the Almora Salt area near Marchula, where a bus fell into a deep gorge near Kupi. The bus was carrying 45 people and several people died in the accident. The bus was on its way from Pauri to Ramnagar. The death count in the bus accident in Uttarakhand's Almora district has climbed to 36. Police and the State Disaster Response Force have launched a rescue operation at the accident site. As the US votes in a hard-fought electoral battle tomorrow, both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump pulled out all stops to campaign in the swing states. Donald Trump held a rally in Georgia where he directed his remarks at Kamala Harris saying, "You are fired, get out." He promised to secure the borders and improve the struggling economy. Meanwhile, Harris vowed to turn the page on the politics of division during a campaign rally in Michigan. Hear in from the rally yourself.
2 days to go. You ready? You ready? In one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime, and we have momentum. It is on our side. Can you feel it? And we have an opportunity in this election to finally turn the page on a decade of politics driven by fear and division. We are done with that, and we are exhausted with it. Well, you all know what we say. We are not going back. We are not going back.
Kamala, you're fired. Get out. Get out. You're fired. And as we secure our borders, we will also rescue our horrendous, you saw the numbers on Thursday, horrendous economy. Yes, it's that bad. When I get into office in January, do it now. What are you waiting for? It's all a big con. She's not going to do anything. She's incapable of doing it.
A quick programming alert as we head into the US elections tomorrow. Make sure to tune in to NDTV Profit's special US election watch with market veteran none other than Ramesh Tamani at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Well, that's all the time we had on this edition of Profit 360, but do stay tuned to NDTV Profit for more news and updates.